Good morning. It's time for the Friday live. So I didn't have one last week because I was away. It was half term, so it's very nice to be back. And this is following on from Tuesday's email, this live today, about the 3 different stages of when you're creating or launching something in your business. And they are the planting, growing and reaping stages. But before I get into that and liken it to a launch of a collection, I'd just like to say a big thank you because many of you got in touch with me this week on the back of that email, and it was just really lovely getting the chance to say hi to people and have a chat and just touch base really. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. It's always really nice when people take the time to actually email back and let you know what they thought of the email or how things are going with their art practice or life in general. So yes, getting back onto this topic, it's not a 3-tip video today, it's just a little chat about the 3 different stages, because I think quite often a lot of us feel like we have to do everything all at once and we have to be everything all at once, and that can be really overwhelming, but also it just puts too much pressure on. So when it comes to our art practice, and even to be honest, life in general, we tend to go through stages. And I'm going to liken it, like as I said, to a launch of a collection so that hopefully it will make a little bit more sense. So we can't expect to launch a collection, create it, launch it, sell it, and kind of pack it all off and everything all in the same day. But yet quite a lot in our business, we kind of expect everything to happen all at once, and we wonder why when we've just literally released something, it's not selling immediately. And so I just wanted to talk about it, as I said, in regards to the launch of a collection. Excuse me. Not had my morning cuppa yet. So if we are going to launch a collection, obviously there's soft launches and hard launches, and we talk a little bit more about that in the Passion to Profit course. But if you have a launch, there's going to be a stage beforehand where you want to start prepping customers and potential buyers about the collection, and that's the planting stage. So I'm talking about the actual marketing side here rather than the creating side of the art ready for the launch, because obviously you'll have 3 stages in the actual art making as well. But with the marketing side of things, when you are getting ready for a launch, there's a definite planting stage. So it's about just gently letting people know what you're working on, what to expect, what's inspiring you, give little snippets of your inspiration and kind of bring people in on the process. And then as we get to the growing stage, that's where it intensifies. And we start to increase the social media posts, the letters to our email and Instagram stories, all things like that. And we start to make the posts a little bit more direct. So they have a call to action, as we say. So rather than it just being general chit chat and this is what's happening and this is what I'm doing or you're doing, then we start to say, you know, the collection is going to be launched a week on Friday, and we build up and we give specific kind of time frames and scales. And then at the actual reaping stage, that is when we have released the collection. It's out and into the world for sale. And hopefully, if we've had enough of a preparation in terms of planting it well and putting the necessary fuel and sunlight and whatever into the actual growth of the collection release, then the reaping stage should be successful. Quite often, if the reaping stage isn't successful, it's because we've neglected part of the planting or the growing stage. You know, we may not have prepared the ground properly. I'm using an analogy here, obviously, I'm sure you've got that. But we may have not prepared the ground properly, or we may have not fed it or watered it properly or left it in the correct spot. And the same applies directly with our collection launches. So if we do the planting, the growing, the ground preparation, the sunlight, the food, the water, etc., all well, then we're going to have a good reaping season where we should be able to sell a decent amount of the collection, ideally all of it. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? And there's almost a kind of mini stage afterwards, like a post-launch stage where you are preparing the ground for your next launch or your next crop. And that is basically, for me, what a successful business entails. I was chatting with one of the students yesterday on the course, and basically one of the mistakes that a lot of artists make is that we put our work up for sale on a website and then we just sit back and we wait. And it's not enough. I was likening it yesterday. I'm using quite a few analogies at the minute, but it's a bit like having the best cakes in the world and opening a bakery on a high street, and on the day you open, you unlock the door, fling it open, and then go and sit behind the desk and wait for the customers to come in and wait a little bit longer. And the chances are they're just not going to come in because they don't know about you. You haven't given them enough prep or lead. They don't know what's different about you compared to other bakeries. So it's about getting out there and giving them samples of the muffins and handing out flyers and doing little mini events and all sorts of things to keep people's interest piqued and to let them know more about you. And it's exactly the same with these kind of cyclical launches throughout the year. Now, I'm not suggesting that we have 4 big collection launches a year, because that actually is very, very tiring. And anybody who's done a launch, particularly a hard launch, you will notice that when it's finished, you are absolutely exhausted. I mean, really exhausted, to the point where you feel empty creatively, you feel really tired, like you just want to sleep and restore and re-nourish your body. And so to have 4 big collection launches a year is quite a big ask. So what I'm meaning instead is having some small things, having some big things, having some in-person events, having some online events, and just making it so that you are constantly at the forefront of your customers' minds. So let's say you have this launch, an 8-week launch period for a new collection where you're starting to prep people and let them know what's coming, etc. And then the launch culminates, say, on week 7. Then you have a small post-launch period, say week 8, where you just kind of tidy things up, give it one final push, let people know how it's gone, etc. And then, as I said, you start preparing for the next thing rather than just sitting back. And the next thing might be in the April, you might offer a little bundle of paintings. So 3 little paintings wrapped together with a ribbon in a box, beautifully presented. And you can say, this is May's offer, this little bundle. Sorry, that was April, I think I said, didn't I? The next month or a couple of months after that, you may decide to do a different offer, free framing or free postage, whatever it may be. But you're in constant contact with your mailing list and your potential customers on social media, and you're staying at the forefront of the mind all the time. So, as I said, you've got these little cycles of plant, grow, reap, and sometimes they can cross over a little bit. So if you have a couple of projects on the go, and this is what one of the ladies who emailed me was chatting about, if you have a couple of projects on the go, your plant, grow, reaps might just overlap slightly. So you may have a gallery exhibition that, culminates in July, but then you've got your own little mini launch on your website that happens, alongside that or slightly overlaps that. So if you can think about it in these little mini circles that can overlap on a timeline throughout the year, and even better if you can get it planned out on your calendar throughout the year to say, right, okay, this 8-week period is my main launch, this little 2-week period is a soft launch, this next one is a special offer, then you are going to make sure that you don't have any dry patches in your business. And you can also plan them once you know your kind of customers' buying patterns a little bit more. You can plan special things to happen during those little troughs, because every business has peaks and troughs. And so if you know where yours are, let's say there's one in October and there's one in May, you can plan something for those 2 months to help increase your customers' buying during that period. So I hope that was helpful. I went off on a tangent for a change. But yeah, I just wanted to chat more about those 3 stages so you don't expect to plant something on day 1 and suddenly get this huge plant and flowers and be able to reap it on day 2. It just doesn't happen like that. You have to put in the work, and things also happen cumulatively. Excuse me. So I was saying in the email, you can work day after day after day after day, and sometimes it feels like nothing's happening, and it's really frustrating, and it can be quite demoralizing. But quite often, just at the point where you're about to give up, that is when the magic happens, and that's what separates the people that make it from those that don't. Because the people that don't kind of give up and go, oh, you know, I'm tired, it didn't work, blah blah blah, and I'm going to do something else, and they've given up just before that really beautiful moment where you push through a barrier and you get the rewards. So yes, I hope, as I said, that was helpful. Don't think that when magic happens on day 365, it's because of what you did on day 364, the day before. It's not. It's what happened on the entire 365 4 days before that. It's a build up. People know that you're there, they trust that you're going to be around, they know that they can rely on what you provide, and they start to kind of get a little bit closer and gel and form that relationship with you, which is beautiful. The best things take time anyway. You know, it can be that sometimes we have this miracle launch where it's quite a fast one, or you release a product and it goes phenomenally well. But those things are few and far between. Generally, we have to work pretty hard. We have to plan things, and we have to recognize that time is a factor as well. And we just have to keep watering those plants and putting them in the right spot with the sunlight. And then just knowing, basically, having that faith as well, that if you do give it the right conditions, it will blossom. Yeah, so there's a mindset issue in there as well. So, but that's a whole other that is a whole other video, which I'm not going to get into today. So that's all from me for this morning. Sorry, I've got a frog. And I hope that you have a really lovely weekend, and that I get to speak to some of you after next week's email, whatever topic that is on. I haven't decided yet. I've got a few ideas noted down in my phone, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to do for next Tuesday. But hopefully it will resonate, and it will be lovely to hear from you. All right, take care. Bye.